Welcome back to Ferocious Education, this is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about once more Sundial SNDL. In hopes today I'm going to be able to cover a little bit of an insight towards Sundial's latest developments and then moving on towards technical analysis and what I think about this stock. So without further ado, let's jump right into this one. So, Sundial. I covered this one multiple times before, including in my last video. I definitely do agree with this paragraph here. We've seen a lot of people lose their shirts on CBD investments and have been preaching that the ship has sailed. You can't just follow the puck, you need to anticipate where it's going. Are there tools out there making markets blah blah blah, but in sense, when you're talking about where you're seeing this going, now, Sundial itself, we can take a look into some of the trends, etc., some of the growth, which we will do later on in the video. But some of the questions we need to ask ourselves is relating towards this massive investments that have been doubled already with them, with Sunstream Bancorp and SAF, and the billions of dollars that are being, or millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars that are put into this industry, and the amount of money that Sundial itself has in cash. Where are they going? And the thing is very easy to anticipate. They're going to acquire other companies. For instance, the Inner Spirit overview. I covered that month before, I think in a couple of videos ago, or last video, and it shows you that they do have historical revenue and a positive EBITDA margin. Now, in a sense, they still have a good amount of cash, closer to around $750 million, with a total capital program of north of $1 billion. And the thing is easy to anticipate and to basically speculate on. The next move would be moving on towards a US market once it becomes legal. Now, we captured a lot of things about it in, let's say, 2020, 2021 anticipation to when the Cannabis Act will be available or will pass towards the Senate and be available to be read on the Senate. Currently, it is stuck with the Committee of Finance, but what it looks to be is that the Senate and the House currently, which is majorly controlled by Democrats, they will be passing that Marijuana Act. Now, another thing I do want to talk about a little bit is this article here. What is Biden's beef with cannabis? So it seems to be that they have some employment or employees terminated in the Biden administration for admitting to previous use of marijuana. It could be just because it was 100% illegal before, but other agencies like the FBI, they've mentioned before, and even including in this article itself. For instance, as recently as 2019, the federal government put on press releases concerning this topic. Of national security representative confessed he used to smoke weed in high school to the register. Now, so long as you can pass a drug test and don't do them anymore, then it won't hurt your application. And so the FBI itself and other agencies are fine with cannabis use, but it seems to be that Biden might actually have a tad of a beef with cannabis. And a part of it, if you go back here, and this article kind of hints on, well, what's going on with Biden's perspective on cannabis plant? Does he blame his son Hunter's substance abuse on cannabis? Unfortunately, Biden seems to be immersed in the drug gateway conundrum. This is sad because the gateway theory has been disavowed and debunked before. And perhaps Joe is 10 years behind the curve. It's time to wake up and smell the coffee. This is a global industry that is generating billions in revenues, employing thousands of Americans and capturing much needed tax dollars. Now, before moving on towards the fundamentals, we do have an SEC filing. They were notified on 25th of May 2021 that they lost their compliance, and they have until later on this year, on November 22nd, 2021, to reach that compliance, and they need a minimum bid of $1 for 10 consecutive days or thereabout. So the company will actively monitor its closing bid during the compliance period and intends to take appropriate measure to remedify the deficiency. Now, last time that happened, their price or the stock price actually shot up, and they continued doing PRs, etc., and it really benefited out of getting compliance in a natural way. Now, the worst way they can do it is a reverse split where they consolidate their shares in order to basically forget about compliance issues for a while. Now, another thing I do want to take about or look about here is the SAF and the SAF group. Now, the SAF group, if you go on their website, you'll find that they have $2 billion capital allocated with more than 30 transactions completed and 21 investment professionals. Now, you can go ahead and take a quick look into them, what they do, etc., history, but I've done that I think around 5-6 videos ago, so I'm not going to dive into that this time. Now, towards the fundamentals, we're going to take a look here into a yearly perspective, even though currently what they have, for instance, on cash alone, on 2021, they have closer to around $730 million. So it's in the 700s for sure. So that's definitely a massive increase. Now, that quarterly even stuff that won't really show you that perspective as much, but let's go on with quarterly to kind of get a grasp on the recent highlights. So on the quarters, this is 31st of March. So quarterly speaking, we start seeing some of the trends that are positive. For instance, cash. Relating towards year on year, they have around 1,300% increase in cash. Now, a part of that includes as well dilution because they had to raise some shares. So keep that in mind, and that's definitely a pitfall. Now, relating to other things, for instance, such as bad debt and doubtful accounts, that's been decreasing actually, and the total account receivables have been decreasing, which is debts, etc. Their inventories are a bit stabilizing, but still lower than a year over year. When you look into the total current assets, although that one is massively inflated because of the cash they raised, and the total assets similar to that, total asset growth grew by 300% year over year after dropping in 2020 to as low as 34% lower and 2350 lower from the previous quarters. Now, another thing I do want to take a look at here is their actual long-term debt. And you get to see that the long-term debt has almost basically diluted. You get to see back on 31st of March, they had 11 million, then they went to closer to 100 million. Currently, they're short or a little bit south of $1 million in total debt. So they basically have almost no liabilities, and that's definitely a bullish thing. Now, retained earnings are actually getting worse and worse and worse and worse. But even though the returned earnings are actually getting worse, I do think that everything they're investing through and diversifying their portfolio, we should start seeing a bit of impact, a positive impact in the coming quarters. So that is yet to be seen. I'm again giving you an unbiased perspective, both bullish and bearish. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see this stock and this company being really successful in the coming years. Now, the total shareholder equity over total assets, that as well has increased over 100% from even the last quarters. So you get to see that there's a massive comparison currently sitting at $840 million compared to $123 million year over year. Now, other things like price over book, that's acceptable because it's below 4 or 5, which is the market average. Although the price over sales is sitting at 44.38, and again, this is trailing 12 months. So it's not the most accurate and it doesn't depict the future. The EPS estimate for next year is 100%, so that's definitely something that will definitely lower price over sales significantly. Now, a lot of people have been downgrading this one recently, including Canaccord Genuity and BMO Capital Markets. But if you go back in mid-2020, it was also some kind of mixed thing that you're looking at where they did downgrade it, like CIBC, and upgraded it, and BMO Capital upgraded it before in 2019. So it kind of goes both ways, back and forth. Now, if you would like to see more contents like this, make sure to click that subscribe button on the bottom right corner and turn your bell notification buttons on. Now, also make sure to drop a like as it helps my channel a lot. And if you would like to join our Discord, it's totally free in the description below. Now, another thing I do want to take a look at here is the institutional buyers. They definitely look like they're very bullish. For instance, Citadel has added shares and institutions seem to be almost all agreeing in the last 3 weeks to just add and not sell any shares on this one. So that's definitely a very interesting observation. Now let's move on towards technical analysis. Now, from a technical analysis standpoint of view, what we actually start seeing here is something that is quite interesting. Today, we dropped around more than 15% as of right now, almost hovering back and forth on 1480 and 15%. And this is more of an alarming rate because we've seen almost 2 days where we hovered around the $1.50, $1.40 range. And so that is definitely something of concern. But the questioning here is there kind of a trend and is it broken currently? Now the price point is above all moving averages. And you get to see that the 10 SMA, which is the green line, is currently above the 30 MA, which is the red line, which is definitely a bullish thing. The 80X suggests that this is a trend forming at 23.48, and Willing percent R has retracted significantly towards a more neutral level than an overbought level. Now on the MACD level, you're retracting a little, and that's definitely a dangerous thing. But when we're looking into momentum, it still has bullish momentum. So currently we need to look at other things other than just the main technical analysis indicators here. Now the stochastic fast and stochastic slow both are retracting down, which is a very dangerous level, and we need to understand where our support lies. Now the Bollinger Band is more of a momentum band related towards as well volume, and currently it's expected to trade at the top at $1.17 and in the bottom at 51 cents. So we can expect for it to continue to be being around that range for a little. So that's more of an alarming rate as well. And on the chart part, if we were to look into the Fibonacci retracements, taking a look at 39 or 396, going all the way down to around 14 cents, we start seeing some significant supports and resistance. Now on the Fibonacci retracements, we're seeing that the 104, 105 Fibonacci retracement support is a critical one. If it does drop below there, we might be a bit in trouble. The 159 or 160 Fibonacci retracement level of resistance is an important one to break as well. Above there, 205, 250, 314, and 396. Now using just the price line action, you're starting to see that there is a very strong support at the $1.04 that it needs to be careful of and not break. 95 cents below there, and looking into 82 cents below and 68 cents and below there. Now the current resistance level, you're looking into $1.33, moving on to $1.46, going on to $1.62, $1.76, 202, and then 223. And then comes to the question to Ed, what do you think about this one? Well, here's the thing. How far are we from reaching that compliance once more? So this is the $1 line, and it did apparently close around $1 on the 1st of June. So that is not exactly sure what the last order is, but it looks like it is $1. Now, it is supposed to be above $1, so you know what? Just for being safe, I'm not going to count it. So we're almost 3 days above that $1, 4 if you count that one on the 1st of June. And so we only need around 7 more days above $1. Today, it dropped more than 10%, which means there's a short selling restriction happening, and that in result means that there's no short selling being pushed on to the next day, and that restriction will be applied. Now comes to the question to Ed. What do you think about this one? I definitely do think that it will continue to hover closer to around $1 or so. And I did say previously that I do see it hitting $1.50. I said that last week when it was below $1, and we've seen that. It hit the $1.50 and dropped back down. Now, from what I see is that they have all the right parts and continuously improving and expanding. And if you see the trends, there is some worrisome trends, but I still remain bullish onto this one. I do expect it to hit down below towards the 97 cents or the 104 cents before it starts going back and recharging. And accumulation is not a bad thing, so keep that in mind. What do you think about the sticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day. Now, if you made it this far into the video, I do recommend that you go ahead and join our Discord server. There's a lot of amazing folks in here. We do a lot of discussions here into the trading floor throughout the day. A lot of people are in there, and we do ask questions. You can ask me any question you would like on there. We do post research and DDs, and we hold weekly chat sessions. And we also do have a lounge in there. So make sure to actually join that and join the fun there. Have a wonderful day and a good one.